Alright, I think if I click this, that should do it. Going live. Let's see if this works now if I go live. I'm refreshing it as well.
There we go.
Okay, you've got me?
Alright,
I think if I click this, that should do it.
Oh. Say hello.
Hi, can folks hear me? We're doing just a quick little check here.
No.
You can hear me. Okay, great. Thank you, Michelle. I will hang up now.
Hi.
Okay, so we'll give it just a couple more minutes. We'll do a sort of a typical like 7:05 concert start time. But in the meanwhile, stretch, go use the bathroom, get a drink, and I will just be here. Alright, everybody. Well, it is 7:05, and I think we will go ahead and get started. There may only be a few of us tonight, and that is totally fine. It'll just be an intimate group. Before I sort of open things up a little bit, I'd like to begin with a series of acknowledgements and Thanksgiving for the people and resources unseen outside the scope of this project, or at least immediately outside the scope of this project, that are allowing me to transmit this to you today and for you to in turn receive it. I acknowledge the Chumash and Michkanakan peoples, the original inhabitants of the land in which I am situated right now, also known as Somas, California. I thank them for allowing me to live and to work here, and I thank them for preserving and caring for this space since time immemorial. I pledge to fight with them for justice. I acknowledge the African American peoples and the labor which they have provided to build the economy and infrastructures of this nation. I acknowledge the enormous crimes against humanity which brought their ancestors from Africa to this land, and I pledge to fight with them for justice. I acknowledge the electricity generated by coal burning, oil burning, and other means which I'm using right now to use the internet. I acknowledge these resources and the labor that has gone into exploiting them, and the lands and animals which have been disfigured, displaced, and killed by them. I acknowledge the atmosphere and the sky for taking on pollution. I pledge to fight for environmental justice. I acknowledge the metals and materials from my computer, which I'm using right now. I thank titanium, lithium, precious metals from Africa, South and Central America. I acknowledge the labor and the destruction that has gone into putting them here in this computer, which I am using right now. I acknowledge the labor of making the computer, which has been done under difficult conditions, probably in China. I thank the workers at Foxconn and other factories, and I acknowledge the terrible, oppressive conditions of their employment. I pledge to fight with them for justice. I acknowledge the labor of the software workers in India, Europe, and America. I thank them for setting up the software I'm using right now, via Zoom, YouTube, Soundtrap, Logic, Google, etc., and I acknowledge the precarity of their labor. I pledge to fight with them for justice. All this giving of thanks, all these acknowledgments of relations are offered so that our musical practice as performers, as listeners, might allow us to dig deeper and allow us to inspire us to more righteous thought, speech, and action. So if you are here, you are somewhat aware of what this project is. But for the sake of being thorough, this is an unboxing, which is a whole genre on YouTube of people receiving material goods, and whether it's a new iPhone or clothes or whatever, and then opening up the box and reacting to it in a live manner. Well, I figured why not sort of reclaim a little bit of that for a more artistic purpose. And what better way to do that than with a new piece by Elizabeth A. Baker. Now, when we put together this crowdfunded commission for Elizabeth A. Baker, an unboxing was not at the core of what we were trying to do at all. But one of the incentives for backing this project, and we thank you so much for backing this project, was to put some transparency into the process of the piece being the process of the piece being composed, and then of being realized, from the unboxing to the practice periods, to rehearsals with the composer, and then eventually carrying it into fruition to a first performance of the piece. So I believe Elizabeth is here tonight, and she will be in the chat. And before we go ahead and get started, I'm going to read just a little bit about Elizabeth A. Baker. Eschewing the collection of traditional titles that describe single elements of her body of work, Elizabeth refers to herself as a new Renaissance artist that embraces a constant stream of change and rebirth in practice, which expands into a variety of media chiefly an exploration of how sonic and spatial worlds can be manipulated to personify a variety of philosophies and principles, both tangible as well as intangible. Elizabeth has received recognition from press as well as scholars for her conceptual compositions and commitment to inclusive programming. In addition to studies of her work, Elizabeth has been awarded several fellowships, grants, and residencies, in addition to sponsorships from Schoenhut Piano Company and Source Audio LLC. As an experimental filmmaker, her work has been shown at festivals including Women of the Lens in the United Kingdom and the African Smartphone International Film Festival in Nigeria. As a solo recording artist, Elizabeth is represented by Aerocade Music, her first solo album on the California-based label Quadrivium, released worldwide in May 2018 to rave reviews. She is founder of the Florida International Toy Piano Festival, the New Music Conflagration Incorporated, author of 3 books, and the subject of a number of scholarly articles, thesis papers, and other academic research. In March 2018, Elizabeth retired from nonprofit arts administration to focus on her international solo career, though she remains committed to the community through workshops and public speaking engagements. Elizabeth is a recipient of a 2019-2020 Individual Artist Grant from the Space of Florida, as well as a commission for the Great Black Music Ensemble through the American Composers Forum, ACF Connect program, in partnership with the Association for the Advancement of Creative Musicians, AACM of Chicago. All of that to say that Elizabeth is an incredibly accomplished new Renaissance artist, and that entails so much. And I'm really excited to see how all of her varied skills are manifest in what is contained in these 2 boxes. So all that I know at this point about the piece is that it is called pianoObject2020, or maybe pianoObject2021. I think that title is a little bit up for debate at this point. And that it is going to somehow have me interacting with the piano in an unorthodox way. And that's really all that I know about the piece. Actually, that's not true. There are a couple things that I won't be able to show you today, but that will become realized during the broadcast practice periods, which is some fixed media in the form of some audio files. But Elizabeth and I have to figure out how to go ahead and put what's in some of these boxes into the piano and figure out how to best mic this so that the sounds that she has recorded and processed are best realized. So stay tuned for that. But I think I have spoken enough without enough action. So I think we will go ahead and get started. Yeah. So here we go. And these were shipped from St. Petersburg, Florida, and hopefully handled with care. So on the top, we've got some excellent bubble wrap, and Elizabeth is nothing if not thorough in everything that she does, and we have a nice little card here, and there you go, right from the get-go. Packing list: 2 Dayton Audio weatherproof exciters, 1 Pyle Bluetooth power amp, and then return to Elizabeth A. Baker, and I'll block out her mailing address. And thanks for supporting my work, Elizabeth A. Baker, in her beautiful handwriting in what appears to be gold ink. There you go. So immediately I'm seeing, let's see, a larger box, some smaller boxes, and some copper wire. We'll go for the copper wire first. Elizabeth makes her own hydrophones, which are microphones that you can submerge in water. And so I'm assuming that any soldering that I'm seeing is going to be her handiwork. And yep, there you go. This looks like it's been tinned by Elizabeth with this copper wire, and I'm not sure exactly what's in the box, but it looks like that it's sealed with electrical tape. So I'm going to go ahead and not open that anymore, and I hope that's the right move. I'm going to err on the side of caution. And it looks like we've got two of these bad boys, these Dayton Sound Exciter transducers. So again, we've got that. Whoop, I'm trying to get it here on the document camera. These hand-tinned ends to the copper wire. So I'm already excited. There's going to be stuff going inside the piano. We're a step in the right direction here. And then we've got this larger box inside the box. First one went a little smoother. And here we go. From pileusa.com. And I hope I'm not moving too quickly here. And yeah, if you have any questions, I believe Elizabeth is in the chat, and she will be able to get at you. So it looks like yeah, it is. It's a power amplifier. There we go. So that, I'm assuming, is going to hook into our transducers, and it's going to cause the piano to do some fun things and to cause it to resonate in some ways that it's not used to doing, which is really exciting. So that appears to be the extent of what I'm assuming is the electronics kit for the piece, for pianoObject2020 or pianoObject2021. And here is what I'm assuming are the actual scores that are going to tell me how to play this piece. And another card from Elizabeth. And I'm getting a sort of a gold theme here with everything going on. And in the packing list is 5 canvas panel graphic scores. And I'll try to, and that seems to be done in silver. And again, thank you for supporting my work, Elizabeth A. Baker. So Elizabeth is the first in a series of crowd-funded commissions of new works for me to perform, whether it is piano, singing pianist, piano electronics, by Black composers, or in the case of Elizabeth A. Baker, a Black Renaissance artist, or just a Renaissance artist. And yeah, that's what's going on here. So we have this wrapped heavily in tissue paper, and we've got pianoObject2021. Okay, so there's the title, pianoObject2021, Panel 1, and signed by Elizabeth Baker, November 2020. And already Nona is chewing on one of the boxes. Nona, don't chew on the box. And oh my gosh, here is the first panel of the score. That is beautiful. I'll try to read the text here while showing it, going from top to bottom. No, don't eat the bubble wrap, kitty. Strange handshake with new eyes, a new touch, knowledge with your consent, if we remove convention. And there are ellipses after each of these, and so I'm assuming that these are sort of text cues for a more complete part of the text for the piece, because it looks like there's sort of layers going on here. You've got this symbol of sort of a waveform, and then an arrow, and then text. Another one, then text, some more, and then text. So this seems to be different sections of this first panel, which are then bordered by this beautiful sort of rain or water or wind type of motif outlining it. This is really beautiful. Oh, Elizabeth, thank you. I'm really honored to be able to perform your music. And this will be my first real adventures into a major graphic score. I've only done like brief improvisations, but this one's gonna take some more doing. All right, let's continue on. Panel number 2. Oh, and just to give you an idea of how large these are 9 by 12 inch black canvas panels, and they're quite thin. So figuring out how I'm going to prop these up and be able to read them while playing is going to be a fun challenge. So panel 2, and here we go. So already really markedly different. Here we've got a lot more space. We now have numbers in addition to, and letters, and I'm seeing that lowercase e and ones, and if I saw a T, I would think maybe this is well, actually, yeah, it probably is. This might be representing pitches, like 0 as do or C, 1 as C sharp, 2 as re or D, but that's an assumption, and I guess we will find out later when I get either at the bottom of this box or later in correspondences with Elizabeth some kind of a key on how to interpret these different symbols. Like this looks like an E with an arrow down. That looks like an I with an arrow going up. We've got curved lines, straight lines, and a whole bunch of black space, more waveforms, E's and A's. Yeah, K's over here. Oh yeah, and full disclosure, this is my first time ever doing like a YouTube live stream thing, so I hope this is not like horribly uncomfortable for you, but I'm having a good time, so there you go. So this is the third panel, and I think third of 5? I think 5, maybe 5. I guess we'll find out. Panel 3. And wow, we're back to action. So all of that stasis and stillness and space that we had in panel 2 is now, I mean, we've got what looks like a city grid here with these blue dotted lines. There's a lot more text on this page, and it's not as top to bottom structured anymore. Things are diverging backwards and forwards. And hi, Nona, do you want to come on camera? You're just going to be a nuisance off camera. Off camera is good for now. Okay. So a lot of the same symbols. We've got these I's and up arrows, E's and down arrows. P with that square, that's a new one. Maybe that has something to do with the pedals of the piano? I don't know. That K is back. And then the text on this one, because the last one didn't have any text, I don't think. No, it did not. So we've got text again. And this is saying in no particular order, just as my eye catches it. Object, what is? What are you? Subtle changes and energy contours. Piano identity. Glowing in the dark when the veil was thin and translucent. And I think that's all the text on here. And then we've got, yeah, there's the T, which I'm thinking is a T for 12, E for 11, and then 0 through 9 for the numbers. So I'm thinking those are pitches. Cool, but we'll see if Elizabeth's going to let me play the pitches on the actual keyboard. I don't know. And yeah, we've got that sort of almost a repeat of that rain motif from the bottom here. And the colors are just so vivid against the black. It's really, really pretty. So that was panel number 3. Panel number 4. There he is. And another very active panel here. Wow, this might be my favorite one so far. There is just a lot of sound on this page, but all kinds of directions, and whatever was like rain or wind before is now just sort of like this torrential downpour of sound. Oh man, that's gonna be some fun to mess around with this. Oh, that's so cool. And all the colors are just so well balanced and organized on this is another thing that I'm noticing. I mean, I shouldn't be surprised if you look at any of Elizabeth's photography or her film. She's got an incredible eye for balance. That's just beautiful. All right. And yeah, it's also amazing that it's just all so cohesive. I mean, the use of the gold ink and the silver ink, which, is part of the cards in the beginning of even the packing lists. I mean, it is a master class in professionalism within the experimental community. So I guess I should be taking notes on when I send out my pieces for other people to realize what I should be doing or not doing. And yeah, this is our 5th and final panel here. And there you go, panel number 5. And here we go. Wow. So this one, text dominates, and only one bit of text. So there's definitely an arc here to these. And what relationship is possible. And yeah, when Elizabeth and I, we briefly talked about the piece, I really did not want to know very much about it before, like, getting to see it for the first time with you here. I knew that it was going to have something to do with sort of becoming reacquainted with the piano, which is my first instrument. And I know that Elizabeth is a very accomplished guitarist, but I also believe that piano is her first instrument, or at least it's one of her primary instruments. But she is certainly an outstanding pianist, and I know that she is also constantly reassessing what it means to be a pianist and what the instrument is and what it can do and what the historical context of it is, particularly within a Western European classical tradition, and what it means to be a black artist using this colonial instrument. And then for me to be a white man realizing a black woman's art through this instrument. I mean, there's so many different lenses to this that are gonna, I'm sure, bring up some very eye-opening conversations between Elizabeth and I as we figure out how this piece goes together. So yeah, we've got borders again, but this time the borders being different gestures with arrows. And we've got our E's and our I's with up and down arrows over here. And we've got more of these mountains of what I'm assuming are pitches. And that, my friends, is pianoObject2021. So, my goodness, next steps from here will be Elizabeth and I meeting privately a little bit just to figure out some of the logistics of how to get some of these electronics inside of the piano, and how to get the sounds to come out of the piano. And then as soon as we have sort of debugged a little bit of it, we will go ahead and schedule the first public practice session. Well, public-ish, still only for the people who backed the project to make this possible. So I think that about wraps us up for tonight. I hope I wasn't too clumsy on my first YouTube live type deal. Thank you so much for joining us. And if you are a future person watching this after it has happened, thank you so much for being here in the future. And yeah, thank you all so much for backing this project. Again, this is only the first in a series. This is not a one and done thing. And I'm already in the process of trying to figure out who will be the next composer to create a new black the next black composer to create a new work for me to perform, whether it is piano or voice and piano or electronics or some combination of those three elements. And if you have any ideas, please contact me, because the more the broader our reach, the more incredible art is going to be made from this project. So again, thank you so much for being here, and I guess that concludes our stream. Love you all. Thank you for being here. Take care. Bye.